God, we do thank you for these opportunities, for your wisdom and your knowledge and your strength and your infinite patience. Thanks for helping us find ourselves so we can help other people find you. Thank you for your clarity and your words and your boldness. You know, I still remember the first time I heard about Dave Roberson. I was at this family's house up in Washington. They'd just gotten one of Dave's newsletters, and it just so happened to have some of the prophecies that were coming from out of the church, and I didn't know anything. So I was reading through this thing, man. It was going way over my head. I couldn't tell you what it said, but I knew the impact it had on me. I knew the stuff that I was seeing, and somehow whatever was on those pages was hitting me just right in the heart. as I've been learning how to develop this kind of this breadth of boldness, I guess it's like more and more God's been able to trust me with more of what He showed me a long time ago. Kind of like looking at this huge panoramic picture and then having the artist point out the significance of these little things that you never would have noticed otherwise. That's kind of what it's been like. and then this last weekend, or no, week before last, Sunday night, Gary, man, I like Sunday nights at the prayer center because Gary doesn't have to act like he's talking to church people so much. He can just talk straight. And he's talking about how he was just spending some time in prayer that afternoon, and God told him about a division that was coming. I'm gonna pull it up. I'd actually just read it again before this. If I can do it gracefully, there we go. Yeah, the year where we sell out to Him. This is Gary talking from the service. What I heard this afternoon in prayer, this year coming up is the year where we sell out to Him. There's going to be great division in the church, and I'm talking about the prayer center. With good intentions but great warfare, some will stay, some will go. And I'm telling you, that's okay. It's the year of selling out to Him. Whatever His will is, I don't live unto myself anymore. And he just he kept going back to that a little bit, just hinting back at it some throughout the whole service. Couldn't tell you what the rest of the service was about. But that phrase, man, that's something that, in a way, is something that God's been saying to me for a while. Something that God's been trying to strengthen me up for, get me prepared for. And seems like lately there's been a lot a lot of effort to try and give me an excuse to swell up my pride, to inflate that, to protect it. And I'm doing the best I can not to. Like, well, yeah. I like reading through Reddit, reddit.com. It's just a bunch of dorks on the internet get together, and there's a lot of it that is just not good. But some of it, man, it is. There's some people just ask a question, and then there's thousands of people that just jump on and answer and talk. And this one question was, what's the most haunting image you've seen? Or what haunts you the most? And I was just going through and reading these answers, and there was a lot about stories from wars, people with a 1,000-yard stare, where you can tell they just so far in some kind of tortuous thought, they don't know what to do. And then there was one that was talking about Jonestown, and whoever posted that showed a picture. It was like a helicopter's view after everybody drank the Kool-Aid, just laying there dead. And then the whoever showed that picture also posted a link to YouTube. It was there was two parts, I think. I haven't sat down and watched them yet, but it was the sermon right before they all drank I don't know for sure if it was Kool-Aid or not. Whatever it was, they're dead now. But he was talking about how there was just so much anger and impassioned anger in the speaker's voice, and you can hear babies crying in the background. He said that he had a hard time sleeping for a while after he saw that clip and then saw this picture of people just laying there dead in this pasture on a farm or something. I save that picture, man. I think about it at least every other day, because I want to believe that guy started out with the best intentions to serve God. I never studied the dude's life or whatever, but there's a lot of people that started out strong with good intentions, and then they just crap out, and they're the ones that make the news. And it's been my goal to never, ever be like that. All these people I've studied, man, in the past, I don't know, 100, 200 years, that have given God a way to do something. Smith Wigglesworth, as far as I know, was the only one that made it all the way through his life. And Kenneth Hagin, I guess. I haven't studied much of him. I keep telling God, man, because somehow it seems like I just kind of, God keeps trusting me with a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And I keep going to God and telling him, man, I don't want to be the dude that screws up. I don't want to be the one that makes the news in 20, 30, 40, 50 years for leading all these people off. So how do I not do that? How do I keep from even going down that path, even entertaining those thoughts? he just kept coming back to pride, to never, ever, ever, ever make an excuse for my pride. To learn what pride is, what my pride is, what I have issues being prideful about, and acknowledging them straight away on the spot for what they are. And there's been several times that I really had to throw myself under the bus. Like, I'd just be talking and then I just kind of hit a snag because I would not want to say this next thing. And I would just kind of stop and look away, keep struggling in myself. God, I don't want to say this. I do not want to say this. Well, why don't you want to say it? Because, okay. All right, I'll say it. It's just, just exposing issues in myself. Talking about how as good as I want to be about controlling my emotions, the best I can do right now with the negative ones, man, is just turn them off. Just shut down. And that ain't what God wants, man. Of course, I also didn't want to say that. And why didn't I want to say it? Because I wanted something to be proud of. And at that point, I just would have been proud of a lie. No sense trying to live for God if we're just going to be proud of what we aren't, right? Things that we haven't given to God, what is there to be proud of there? Another one today, I was talking to somebody, and I was just kind of ready to be done. So I started walking away. I made it maybe 15 feet, and the guy's like, hold on. You stop right there. You're not done. And I'm thinking, crap. I was trying to be all right. What now? So I just kind of stop and turn around, and then just kind of half sulk, half walk back to who I was talking to. And it ended up being, I guess, a good conversation. It was mostly just me talking. How can those be wrong, right? As far as what Gary said about division, it's been about 10 years or so since I really learned how to have a real relationship with God. And I kept thinking all this stuff he was showing me was just kind of something in the future, something down the line. And, no matter how much time went by, it was always going to be something in the future, something down the line. It's something I'll deal with later. Now, other people are saying the same things, man, talking about division. And that pride, that's going to be one of the main points of division. I remember when I was still listening to, when I was still giving an ear to other people within church about God, about what God would say to me, and about my perspective on some things. And some of it wasn't even me just trying to be a jerk. Some of it was just not putting up with garbage. And I would just speak my mind on some stuff, man. And then these church people, man, they'd been some of my best friends. And they were people I looked up to and respected. Just kept trying to correct me. So I took that with a grain of salt, man, and I'd get done hanging out with them, spend some time with God that night, and I just couldn't get away from what the way I was seeing things and the things that I wanted to say, because most of them weren't good. Like just saying church people were full of crap. Like this person is a liar. This person, just being more honest than uplifting. There's still a balance for me to find in that. But I'm not going to blind myself with so-called love. Huh. Just to try and pretend to see the best in other people. But man, if we want, well, you ever seen Indiana Jones? I think in the Last Crusade, right? Yeah. So Indiana Jones, he's there at the very end. He's in this. Uh, Crap, it's been a while since I've watched it, but they're trying to find the cup of Jesus or the fountain of youth or something, and so this other guy gets this real elaborate looking cup. This is fit for a king, and it's all diamond encrusted or whatever. And then he drinks it, and he just kind of claymations out and dies. And then Indiana Jones is like, "Oh, this is the cup of a carpenter," and it's just this simple wooden cup. And that was the cup Jesus drank. Obviously, yeah, doctrinal holes. It's a movie, and it ain't about God, so come on, a little artistic liberty for them. And it's God's simplicity that usually throws a lot of people off, especially when they listen to people that talk about what a great big show God gives. And he just makes gems appear in people's pockets and farts gold dust in church sanctuaries and whatever. Man, that ain't God. If God valued that, he'd be doing it on 2020 and making a big show and having a parade for himself and all of that. What God gets a kick out of is setting people free and building people up and rebuilding them. And how many of us can he trust to be so through and through with that kind of focus, to be able to be just to be permeated with that same desire and not eventually get caught up with the glitz and the glamour, the show, the respect, the worship, people just betting their lives on you being right. How do we not let that go to our head? We stop entertaining pride. giving it any kind of room. Man, Christianity is supposed to cost us something. If we're comfortable anywhere outside of God, man, it's time to reevaluate. Not that God doesn't want us to have nice things. Can you trust us with them? Man, it's the heart God looks at, not the words. I can spend hours, days, weeks telling God how much I love Him, not do a single thing for anybody else. And that's another thing that God's been setting me straight on. Is I know He told us to get this house fixed up and sold, and dude, so I've just been going nuts on that. Moved in just over 3 years ago. I would have to sit down and make a tally list of how many projects we finished. And a little while back, maybe month and a half, I was just sitting in a little, some kind of chair. It kicks back, and then you got the ottoman, you just kind of, and just spending some time with Him. And it got pretty deep, man. I was pretty shaken up. There was that one where I was just kind of, the floodgates opened for about an hour. And one of the things He was very clear about was after we're done with this floor project we got going on right now, don't plan anymore. And I know one of the reasons was because all our extra money, man, was just getting thrown towards all these projects. And we've got a whole bunch to show for it. But there wasn't much of a balance. There was also people that needed stuff. And I got so one thing about me is I told Carrie, we just kind of agreed that I'm more like a locust. I just kind of start doing something and just wear it out and wear it out. I don't stop. I just keep hammering at it. Very singularly focused, I guess is a nice way of saying it. And I got too focused on doing what God wanted me to do on this house that I kind of missed the exit where He wanted me to deviate from it and start doing some things for other people again. Because there's a lot of opportunity where I work, man. I don't know whether or not to talk about my coworkers, because they light up my life, man. I have so much fun with them. Because they're just so real. It's a nice, refreshing change from going to church. And they just have money issues, dude. This guy and his wife, they don't even have a washer and dryer. And that's a luxury for a lot of people. And I was asking God about that case, and that one is optional for me. You know, I'd buy him one if I wanted to, but that one's not a mandated case. What would it take for us to start bringing light and smiles an answered prayer to people that don't know God. Man, what if they're just throwing words up in the air hoping something happens, and then somebody gives them a call and asks them where they want this washer and dryer? Would they not be a little more open-minded about the possibility of getting to know God that way? Or am I too focused on myself and giving to things that I think are good, or things that I would rather give to instead of listening to what God wants me to do with my money? If it is indeed His money, as I have tried to convince myself by telling Him. Let's be honest, right? Another thing God's been hinting at that it's time for me to work on, at least, is just the way that I relate to people and the way I open up to people and the way I convey things to people. Man, on here, dude, I just try to have fun, have a good time, and say something worth listening to. And when it's more one-on-one, I talk to other people like I talk to myself, and like I ask God to talk to me, man, just straight between the eyes. I don't want any of this sugar-coated crap. If it's truth, man, I want a concentrated dose, even if it's the only dose I want for a little while. So, I mean, I got so tired of people of Christians being so non-confrontational and spineless and cowardly and calling it meekness and timidity and humility that I just kind of went all the way across the spectrum. I mean, man, there's sometimes when I'm at work, dude, I just have fun acting like an arrogant jerk, but it's with the people that I know, and they know that if they needed it, man, I would. There's not much I wouldn't do for them, and I make sure they know that. Try to make sure anyway. But I'm just kind of, I'm a little too much of a straight shooter. That's something God's been trying to pull me back on, and finding a balance, tempering that with love. Because it's not like these people, man, these my friends, not like I don't care about them, but sometimes mm, sometimes the uh, love and kindness is lost in translation, and understandably so, because sometimes I'm just kind of a dick. It's, I'm working on it, all right? I keep reading Corinthians about how Paul was talking to them. He's like, hey, we didn't hold a single thing back from you. That's something I'm striving for. I'm learning how to get there. But there's going to be a division. What we have to do is make sure we're staying on God's side. It ain't about God being on our side, because God's not the one moving. But there's going to be a There's going to be a lot of shakeup going on. All these people that talked a big church game, man, they're the same person year after year after year. They're going to wonder why they think they supposedly put their time in with God, and why people that just want God are just getting sprung forward, because we're the ones that God can trust with ministry, with people, with money, with opportunities, with this, with that. Man, we're the people that can give ourselves a once-over, honest evaluation, spend some time with God, man. Just may as well look Him straight in the face. God, I know enough of what truth is. Send me to the lies. God, I have a good enough idea what light is. Where's darkness? Send me there. That's where I want to go. And, when I first moved down here, man, I thought I would have done anything to get a job at the prayer center. Thank God that He spared me from that, from my own ignorance. I'm so glad I don't have to be around church people all the time. But this is about like-mindedness. Something I was going over some conversations I'd had with God over the past year, and one from last March. Something happened back where I grew up. Some kind of shooting or something, I forget now. And it was some kind of threat. And it was something that hit real close to home. And I just took it to God, and I was like, man, what is the deal here? And God just started talking to me. The real problem there was a huge lack of unity. Just the only thing a lot of those people could focus on, if they could agree on anything, was that Jesus paved the way for salvation. And that was it. And then God started talking to me about unity, and about like-mindedness, and about the potential there, and how it's just such so exponentially better. It's there's so much more wiggle room for God in a room full of like-minded believers, or among a connection of like-minded people. God's got a lot more room to play. And then He started talking to me about these people I work with, man. The dude I joke about being my tattooed, pierced up, pot-headed soulmate. God was like, well, you guys are cut from the same cloth of the soul. Imagine the potential if you guys were cut from the same spiritual cloth. And I thought, So it's not necessarily about finding Christians that are already like me. Well, kind of like me. same basic goals, just wanting God and not settling for any other garbage. Not settling for signs, for an angel, for something that seems right, for good things. Not settling for any of that crap. Just deciding, no matter what, God, if this isn't you, I don't want a part of it. God, if my pride's going to be an issue, teach me how to fix it. Teach me how to be shameless towards myself. I never want I don't want to be the one to make excuses. Especially in front of God. But you notice a lot of times those excuses are just kind of in and among our own self, and then they just spill out over to other people and to God and to whoever else. I want more accountability than that, man. We talk about if you spend a year in church, man, you're going to be brainwashed into thinking Paul was just Jesus Jr. And yeah, but that doesn't mean we treat him like a celebrity, man. I don't think he would take very kindly to that. He'd give us the same spiel he gave the Corinthians about, hey, was Paul crucified for you? You're looking at the wrong person. uh, hmm. This is going to be, I don't know if it's just this season, but it's going to be a time of learning how to align our priorities with his, and being able to be trustworthy from his perspective. Man, what if God uses me to pull somebody out of a wheelchair? And then God's able to do it a few more times. And then I just start getting a little too full of myself. And then, God forbid, I start looking bad. So I'm just going to have to start planting people in wheelchairs and pulling them up out and acting like it's a miracle. Or having people stand in the foyer of church and just start small talk with people, figure out what their issues are, and then plant something in the speaker's ear, the preacher's ear, and have him convey so-called words of wisdom or words of knowledge, whichever one that is, to these people, and try and pass it off as God, just because I need to save some face. Shame on those people, and God forbid it ever gets that way with me. But there's can't get away from it. I just have to call it a division, a growing apart. Some of us were able to jump on the preparation bandwagon earlier than others. This really, really good friend of mine up in Washington, man, just a good guy. good heart, just all around solid guy. And he ended up getting married 2, 3 years ago, and it just kept coming to me, man. Just ask him about moving down here. Put them up for a while they get established, man. You just do your part to make sure they can come down here. So I sent this dude a few emails. It's like, hey man, you guys ever think about coming down to Tulsa? Just giving yourself a fresh start. And every single time it was met with reasons for them to stay where they were, where I moved from. And, you know, his decision. It's not up to me to be like, God told me you need to move. I never want to be that guy either. And then this dude just kind of fell off the planet. I hadn't seen, heard anything from him for months. So I just shot him another email. I said, hey, you're still alive, right? That afternoon, he sent me and some of the other real close people in this circle of friends we had. Sent us all an email updating us on his life, and a lot of it had just fallen apart. And I was asking God about it, man. It's just where, what, why? The reporter questions, you know, who, what, when, where, how, why. It's like I was giving God the third degree for my buddy's sake. Just trying to figure out, could I have done anything more at least? And I did my part, man. They did what they thought was right without consulting God, and now things are not well. And that's I don't want to say that's something we're going to have to get used to, but it's something we need to learn to accept. Intellect isn't exactly what's going to persuade people to live for God. Does our lifestyle back up what we say to people? Because that's what people are looking for. And I know too often mine doesn't line up enough. But that's what this that's one of the big ones on God's agenda coming up, is getting the people that want God, getting them to learn how to stay closer to God, how to stay aligned with God, how to keep a mentality for God, how to maintain a lifestyle for God. It's going to be something along those lines, but I'm not quite hitting it on the head. But that's what it's going to be about, man. We keep making room in ourselves for God by getting rid of the crap that we used to think was pure gold. The more God's able to do with us and in us and for us and through us, because he can trust us with what he's wanted to give us all along. There's going to be people like that. And then there's going to be the other church people. It is immensely important that we make a habit of finding ourselves in Jesus. Man, so what if we start wandering off? We just take our own leash and lead ourselves right back to God. It's important to make a lifestyle out of that right now. Start learning how to do that on a consistent basis. That's going to be one of the biggest separating factors between us and people that just talk a big church game. And it's okay to be shameless for God. And that doesn't... One day, we will get away from disclaimers. But until then, being shameless for God doesn't mean throwing off all your clothes in the front yard and running up and down the street praising Jesus. Okay? Let's use our brain too. It means if our pride is getting in the way of something that God wants us to do, especially for somebody else, then He's expecting us to suck it up because we're the ones that claim to know God. What excuse do we have? It's about stepping up. So, on that wonderful, happy note, man, I'm excited about the things to come, but it would be terrifying if I did not know God, if I didn't have confidence in Him, man. I was talking to somebody about it, and it's like, dude, you start seeing this stuff coming, and you know it's coming, but you just kind of let the waves just roll over you, and you know that where you are is right where you need to be. There's so much peace in that, which is good because losing that peace is a nice way to find out you're screwing up. At least for me. Anyway, love you guys, and see you in a couple more weeks. Peace.